Good. Hi, this is Jack from Alpha Charts, and I'm here with Richard Moglen today, and we are going to be doing a kind of a 2021 outlook video on where we're at and where we think some good ideas will be going into 2021. Hey, Richard, how are you doing today?
Good, Jack. How are you? Thanks for having me on. And yeah, we're going to be going through some major ETFs, and then also each of us have picked kind of 5 stocks that we'll be watching very closely going into the new year. So looking forward to it.
All right, pretty cool. Before we get started, this video is educational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. And we may hold some of these stocks that we mentioned today. Again, there are not recommendations to buy or hold. You have to make your own decisions for yourself. If you like these videos, please follow Richard Moglen. He's on Twitter at Richard Moglen and on YouTube, and I'm at AlphaCharts365 on Twitter and YouTube also. All right, so let's start with the Qs because I think that's really the place to be. We'll just push this down. All right, so the way I see the Qs is we had this consolidation, kind of like a double bottom, a breakout, a quick retest, and now we're moving higher. To me, that looks really healthy. All the moving averages are aligned, and things look pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. And we just got out of this long-term consolidation. And the important thing for me is a lot of these dips after this consolidation have found support. So we had, after we moved out and broke out of this consolidation, we had one really bad day, but then we found support right at the top of the consolidation, bounced right back up. And then this past Monday, once again, we had a gap down, but we closed right at the high of the day. So it looks healthy for me, and nothing wrong with this chart trending above all those key moving averages.
Yeah, looks pretty good. Looking at the SPY. Oops, helps if I type it right. All right, there's the SPY. I mean, very similar as far as that goes. Here was the March bottom, beautiful uptrend from there. Kind of, this was an important area right around here, and broke out. Quick little retest, and now moving higher. Very, very similar to the Qs. Looks healthy to me too. How about you?
Yeah, it looks good. I usually follow the QQQ because more closely than the SPY, just because I'm a growth stock trader, and I think the Qs kind of match that kind of area of the market a little bit better. But yeah, the SPY is good to look at. It's good that's all-time highs, and it looks strong.
Yep. And just to round it out, let's look at the IWM.
Mm-hmm.
So small caps, and they were the dogs forever and ever and ever. And now they're the leaders, just the way it works. I mean, just literally straight up from here. I mean, unbelievable strength in the small caps. And I think that bodes well in general for growth names.
Mm-hmm.
If people are willing to plow into, we'll call riskier or smaller companies, that means they want to put their money at maybe a slightly higher risk level, and that's positive for the market overall.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And yeah, just like you said, it's been on a very strong upward trend, not giving back much at all. And I mean, is this a 3-year consolidation that it just broke out of? I mean, this is quite a long base
Yeah, from
here.
2018.
Yeah. So 2 years.
Yeah, so
Um,
big base, and yeah, beautiful, man.
yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
And I'm going to share my screen and talk about the FFTY, just because this is one that I always look at every weekend. So this is the Innovator IBD 50 ETF, and you guys can see my screen, right, Jack?
Yes.
Yes. So once again, we had a breakout from this consolidation, nice, strong movement, and it's an all-time high. So looks good for me. I mean, this is choppiness. This is why people are getting stopped out all the time. But then the last few weeks have really been a beautiful upward trend above all those key moving averages. And this is where the big money is made when we're trending above these moving averages right here.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, it's as good as it gets right there, right? I mean,
Yep.
breaking out to all-time highs. It's awesome. And
Yes.
and like I said, those are growth names, so those are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we also want to talk about some major ETFs because it's always good to see what kind of ETFs are the strongest. And Jack, I know you do in your top-down approach, you look at these ETFs, right? Is that how you do it?
I do. I do. And then I look at all of them, and I look at the pieces in between them. So you have a bunch of really good ones listed right there.
Yeah, so this is the first one that I think is good to talk about, and this is one of Kathy Woods from ARK Invest. She's fantastic, and this is their Genomic Revolution ETF. And personally, biotechs are a little bit harder to trade from the CanSlim perspective because they don't always have earnings or sales growth. And I think if I wanted to take up a position, I might feel more comfortable just buying this ETF at a proper buy point than investing in one of its holdings. I mean, we just had Edit though that had a huge breakout this past week. So there is a lot of great stocks in here. But yeah, just in general, the trend of ARKG is fantastic this entire year.
Yeah, I love the arc in all of them actually. I look at and get tons of ideas from them because I mean Kathy Wood is just she's right on the ball with that stuff. And actually one of my positions I'm holding right now EXAS, which I think I got from that. Yeah, right there. Boom. Has a little cup and handle look right there.
Mhm,
Continuation pattern.
mhm.
And broke out, little retest. So yeah, but I got that from the ARCG.
Absolutely. And this is SOCL, and this is the social media ETF. And overall, I mean, this area has been very strong this year. We've got stocks like Snapchat doing well, Pinterest as well. And once again, beautiful trend. You've got a kind of base forming here, nice breakout, gap up, and just trending beautifully above all those key moving averages. So this tells me to look for names in this space because they're doing well, right? All-time highs, even when the rest of the market is being held back after the March crash.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, and I don't know if that's a function of, I think people with the with everyone being quarantined, they went to social media for that interaction, social interaction, and I think it just drove these much higher. I know my own kids. I have two teenage girls, and they found Pinterest during quarantine, and they love Pinterest. I mean, love Pinterest. So that's all they go on right now.
Jack, you're giving away one of my names for later.
Oh, sorry. You'll get there, but yeah, but that's a good one.
Yep, absolutely. And this is ICLN, and this is a clean energy ETF. So very strong trend. And I've also got TAN on here, which is the solar ETF. And there's a lot of great names in here. You've got SEDG, Solar Edge, ENPH. Yeah, great names in both of these areas. And obviously, the new administration has said they're going to invest a lot of money in this area. So this could definitely be a trend that lasts for years. Which in my opinion is a good thing. Renewable energy, I think, is the way to go for the future. So hopefully this trend continues.
Yeah, yeah, it looks great. And it's funny because when solar first broke out, we've seen solar start and stop in the past, and I wasn't like on board with it at the beginning as far as investing in it, but it's just been a complete beast. So
Yeah,
hopefully this will become more mainstream, and we'll see more people use it, right?
absolutely. And look at this monthly chart. I mean, this is just power. This is power. Great volume coming in down here. Definitely a breaking trend from this more choppy area back here in 2015.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone wants to be part of it.
Absolutely. And another ETF that I thought was good to talk about is MSOS, which is the cannabis ETF. And once again, we're seeing a whole bunch more states legalize and decriminalize marijuana. And this ETF has reflected that change, showing a lot of growth since its inception, really.
And real fast, do you MSOS versus MJ? Any particular reason why you like one over the other, or just the
Well,
one you just used to?
the trend of both are pretty good. I just liked MOSS just because it was a recent IPO, and I mean, great volume coming in. But
Okay.
there's no particular reason. I don't know exactly what the actual holdings are and the differences between them. I don't know if you have more information on that, but I love the trend that we're seeing right here.
No, actually, it's a new ETF to me. I haven't looked at this one yet. I've always used MJ as my proxy, so
Mhm.
so I'm just interested in this one. It looks great though, absolutely amazing. And like you said, I mean, states are decriminalizing and legalizing and recreational using, and everything else. And whether you agree with it or disagree with it doesn't really matter. That's not the point of this, is to make money. So it looks great.
Absolutely. And this is the online retail ETF. So e-commerce, a lot of great moves this year from that sector. And once again, in my view, this kind of digital transformation, I mean, it's just getting started really. Shopify has been a fantastic winner the past few years. You've got other entrants, Melly, C Limited over in Southeast Asia. A whole bunch of great names growing at an astounding pace. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is definitely an area that I'm focused on.
And Amazon is, I think I looked at last night, I think around
20%, I believe.
20%. Yeah, it's about in the 20% range. And what's interesting is Shop and Amazon haven't done much in the last 3 or 4 months,
Hmm.
right? Just moved sideways. Shop is just starting to kind of come out of it. Amazon has this gigantic flag that's it's, everyone's consolidation, that's kind of
Hmm.
everyone's kind of watching. And if those two big boys really start to move, you're going to see that ETF just make strides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And another one that I'm always watching, I think you are too, Jack, is SMH, which is the semiconductor ETF. And it's right at all-time highs. I mean, another big theme, I think, for me is the increased need for computation power. I mean, you've got NVIDIA, AMD, the big boys, but also there's so many applications for this, from self-driving cars to even Bitcoin mining. I mean, there's so many applications for semiconductors, and really they are the basis for a lot of the technology that we use every single day.
Yeah, I mean they're in everything from TVs to thermostats to my oven has them, so it's like they're in everything. So I mean that really says the health of the market. Probably the best out of anything that you could proxy that you have is how is SMH doing? And
Mhm.
it's doing pretty good, pretty good.
Absolutely. And the last one that I want to talk about was the cybersecurity ETF hack. And you've got like Cloudflare in there, CrowdStrike, really top names.
Yeah.
And
Zscaler's
it's
in there.
Zscaler, absolutely. And I mean, look at this trend the past few months. I mean, we've seen some news and coming out that there have been some hacks, and I think that people are starting to realize that these are going to be very, very important for the next few years. Um, for securing our information, both for companies, websites, what have you. So yeah, this is definitely also an ETF, an area that I'm definitely focused on.
Yeah, looks great. And you're right though, that's the future, right? Because now with everything being connected, the Internet of Things, right? Everything is connected to the internet, which makes everything vulnerable, right, to being hacked. So these companies will be hopefully good for a long time.
Absolutely.
See. All right. So shall we start with our ideas?
Let's go for it.
All right. So let me go back and share my screen. There we go. And my first idea is Chewy. Now I already own Chewy, but I think that this is an idea that's going to be continue to do well. It is a little bit extended right now. So my entry, I was telling Richard before, was actually the day after earnings, right here. Earnings were amazing, and I think the market did poorly this day, and it didn't. It gapped down, and so I bought in here somewhere, and it has done great since. Hit that, I got above that $100 level, a little bit extended, so it does need to kind of consolidate or flag back for a reasonable good risk reward. But with quarantine, there were a lot of people rescuing dogs, buying dogs, and other pets and animals. And Chewy is, as far as I understand it, the online retailer that's providing a lot of the whether it's food or leashes or whatever they need for their pet. It has high double-digit earnings and sales growth. There's actually a 22% short float in this one, which is
Hmm.
almost 4%, 4 days to cover or so. So it's got a decent short float going on there. Again, I still think it needs to, for a safe entry, maybe consolidate just a little bit more in here or flag out. But again, make your own choices as far as that goes. But it looks good, and I think that this one continues higher.
Hmm. Hmm. And I know my family uses Chewy for our pet supplies, and it's so convenient. And just driving around the neighborhood, I mean, you're seeing well, you're seeing a lot of Amazon boxes this time of year, but you're also seeing a lot of Chewy deliveries as well. So this is definitely a very sticky business, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And they also do pet meds and things of that nature too. So I mean, they're doing, whether it's heartworm or there's arthritis drugs, all kinds of stuff. So they're doing pet meds too, which is pretty good. Um, all right, next one on my list is One Life Health. So it's a beautiful looking chart. And it has a good sales and earnings growth. In the medium double digits, 50-ish%. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was pretty good. Has a 9% short float, 7 days to cover. So that could be a little bit of a push higher too if people start to cover. Um, but I do like how it's kind of had this created this consolidation or base, and it is starting to break out. Now, my perfect setup for this would be a BRB setup as and which would be to come back here and retest the breakout
Mm-hmm.
and then and uh and then move higher and let these moving averages catch up. I don't remember what BRB actually stands for. I know Ian McMillan does, but I always say be right back because basically it's, be right back, retest, and then it moves higher.
Mm-hmm.
So BRB setup would be perfect in this name. And what do? They're kind of like Teladoc in a lot of ways. They work with businesses and you do a telemedicine type thing and they get people back to work sooner. So businesses like that, it's convenient for the people. They don't have to wait or go anywhere to be seen. So I think it's a business that is obviously, there's room for more than one Teladoc in that industry. And so One Life Healthcare is trying to be that another business.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
every Uber needs a lift, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so that's One Life. Next up is Ballard Power. Goes with the alt energy idea. This has a nice cup and handle continuation pattern right here. It's just now breaking out, so it's got a good place to manage risk against. Earnings and sales are not that exciting on this one, but it's in the right space, right? It's in the right market. It's in alternative energy. So I think that has it going for it. It's got a nice pattern that it's breaking out from. And I like that you can easily manage risk on this one also. So I think all those things, as well as potentially an administration coming in that's going to be very alternative energy friendly, I think all that goes well for it. And so I think Ballard Power also looks good. Also, some good volume coming in here on the breakout.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to see that. Again, this was Christmas Eve, so don't worry about this bar is not realistic anyway. But these bars are, and people want to be involved in Ballard Power right now. So I think that's a good thing. Next up, okay, MP. So MP Materials. This is an interesting company. So what they do is they mine rare earth minerals. Okay. So rare earth minerals are required in all of our new technologies from iPhones to Teslas to like they're just really, really important. And up to now, China was pretty much the only people that were producing any, mining any real rare earth minerals. Well, I guess in Nevada, there was a mine for rare earth minerals that just got restarted, and this is the company that that basically are mining those rare earth minerals. Point being is that it's our only U.S. rare earth mineral mine. So strategically, it's really important for the U.S. if we ever have a issue with China in the future, which we very well could. It's a strategic importance, and what I like is it created already one high tech flag right here, and it's working on another one right here. So I think that just shows the strength of this particular company. You see, the volume is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's got high earnings and sales growth expectations. So
Mm-hmm.
this one is in an unbelievable uptrend again, extended, but it's been extended since the breakout, so it never really gave you a chance to get in. That also shows its strength. And this is actually my pick for Cubby Bear's stock challenge for 2021 is
Mhm.
MP materials. I think this one can go much, much higher.
Absolutely. And within this uptrend, I mean, look at all those gap ups on huge volume. I mean, this is not normal people buying. That's got to be institutional money boosting the stock. And I mean, it just does it over and over again. And I don't think those gaps, especially back in the base, are going to fill. It could completely be within its rights to pull back and form a base here. But that institutional money is in there for the long term. So it looks very, very good.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not a small stock. It's running average 4.5 million shares, so there's a
Mhm.
decent amount of volume in there. Um, yeah, so that's MP, and my last one, and I stole this from Peru a little bit, because this used to be a company Feek. It's a SPAC, and now they changed their name to Skills, and basically it combines gaming and gambling together, and really it's the best of both worlds, right? So. So, it's got high earnings and sales growth. It's in a strong uptrend. It's a little bit more volatile than some of the other stocks, so you have to manage your risk with that. Um, but you see on this last pullback, we have a nice decreasing volume, and I think with the Xbox and the PlayStation 5 that's coming out, as well as other online gaming. I mean, gaming is just,
Mhm.
I mean, there's no going back from that. Everyone's gaming. So I think and gambling is the next piece of that. And I'm sure there's other companies that also do this. But this one looks, it's just starting out, looks pretty good. I like that it's a newer name that people haven't latched on yet to yet. And I think that once they do, I think we're going to see this one go much higher.
Mhm. And within the same kind of space, there's also some strong stocks like Corsair and also Unity. I think I believe is involved in gaming. So this stock isn't alone in this strong uptrend. It's a group move um, that's very strong.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be yeah, and again, gaming's it's gonna keep evolving, but it's here to stay. Even some of the game manufacturers like Activision, I mean, they're all looking pretty good. The ATVI real fast.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, it's just breaking out of. I actually almost put this one in the list, so I'll show
Hmm.
it to you anyway. But yeah, I mean, look at this gigantic base as just now moving out of. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I think Gamer is the ETF. Yeah. So
Hmm.
that's the ETF for gaming, and it just again strong uptrend. Everything looks pretty good. So I think that skills. Um, I think that this one is could be a big winner for 2021. All right, so those are my five
Hmm.
that that I'm watching going forward. And what do you got, Richard?
Yeah. So my first one is CrowdStrike, and overall, a lot of the names that I picked are going to be familiar for a lot of the people on FinTwit. But in my opinion, these five are potential true market leaders. And the average run of a true market leader is 18 months. So they just got started in 2020. In my view, a nice, uh, they've got a lot of time left in their uptrend. So first up, we've got CrowdStrike. And once again, this fits with one of the major themes, cybersecurity. Um, and this stock, you can see just emerged from a stage 2 cup, which means it's pretty early stage. I'm kind of focused on stage 1, stage 2, along with IPO bases. And then it just had a super strong move upwards, once again with gap ups on volume, strong relative strength, not giving much back. And in my view, if it forms another base, it's definitely a good opportunity to get in. And I actually did start my position, or I traded this a bunch of times in 2020, but I just started my new position on the earnings gap up, and I'm looking to add and trade around my core. So this is my number one pick. Great earnings growth, over 100%, accelerating margins as well, which is important. And you can see Fidelity Contra Fund over here has a position as well. A nice increase in the number of funds over the past 2 years, and decent estimates for 2022. Not the strongest, but you can see the revisions are up, which is definitely something that I look at.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing looking chart. I own CrowdStrike currently also. I don't remember exactly where I got into it, but I've been holding it for a little bit now. And yeah, I mean, and cybersecurity isn't going anywhere. And like those estimates, like you said, one major cyber attack, and those estimates are blown out, right? You know, as far as that goes, because everyone, you know, you won't be able to. The services will be in demand like crazy.
Absolutely. And my second pick is Grow Generation, and this is related to the marijuana industry. You can see it just is moving up now really strongly from the stage one cup with handle. And it hasn't given much opportunity to get in. You've got a potential kind of high tight flag spot right here. If I draw in this downward trend line here. But overall, I think this needs to form a base, but I'll definitely be looking to start position once it does form one. And this is from my Livongo screen where I try to find the next Livongo. Great triple digit earnings and sales. Estimates for 2021, over 100%. Revisions are up. I mean, this earnings growth right here, this is what causes stocks to double and triple. I mean, this is what institutions are looking at. And this stock has shown immense power, and it's still a very small market cap. And if you're not familiar with what they actually do, they are they are a hydroponic equipment seller. So they're selling to both commercial and home growers in many different states. So look strong, top industry group. You can see number 12 out of 197. And yeah, this is definitely top of the list in terms of new positions for me if it forms a nice strong base.
Those earnings are just unbelievable, and those growth numbers. Um,
Absolutely.
and like you said, I mean, so the best stocks don't give you great opportunities to get in. You know, maybe around that 30-25, that was an opportunity right there potentially. But
Hmm.
yeah, but it looks amazing.
Hmm.
Yeah, one more pullback and yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. So my next one is going to be Peloton. And you might think that this run is over. I mean, you saw a huge breakout from the primary base this year, but it's just forming a stage one consolidation just now. So I think this is a long way ahead of it, and you can see explosive earnings and sales growth down here. Estimates for 2022 over 100% once again. All the revisions are down, which is something that I'm going to be watching here to see if this can stay above that 100% mark. But overall, extreme growth company. And I think Jack, you and I were just talking about it. I think Peloton kind of has that same feel of Apple, where it's really showing quality and almost a status symbol that you have a Peloton in your home. Um, and obviously, home fitness is a huge trend, and they're really trying to capitalize on it, especially with the recent acquisition of Precor. So, look strong. You have good institutional sponsorship. Fund ownership is increasing every single quarter. And like I said, in my view, this is just getting started, and I do have a position at this point. I'll be looking to add during short-term consolidations, and if it forms another base.
Yeah, and I also have a position in this, and I love how it's holding that gap so far. I mean,
Hmm.
so it gapped up on that news that was buying that other company for but and look how it's holding it. So nobody's selling, right? And that's what you want to see, a gap, and there's no sellers. So it went up whatever it was that day, 10% or whatever it was, and people are like, good, let's it's going higher,
Hmm.
and that's what it's telling me, and I think it does go higher. Great looking charts.
Absolutely. And my next pick is Pinterest. And this goes along with the social media theme. And if we look at the last quarter earnings up 999%. You can't get better than that. Sales up 58%, margins increasing as well. And a big thing for me, I mean, obviously in 2021, earnings estimates are up another 125%, revisions up as well. So once again, there's a very young growth company just getting started. It hasn't even formed a stage one base just yet. So that's really what I'm watching for. And it looks good. You've got gap ups on huge volume. That's a good sign of institutional accumulation. Good fund ownership over here, increasing every single quarter. And like I said, once this forms a strong base, I'll definitely be looking to start a new position in the stock.
Yeah, yeah. I did own this stock back in the uptrend, and unfortunately I did sell it along the way for some profit. But yeah, this one I love. I'll be getting back into this one too if it gives me a good risk reward opportunity. Like I said, my kids, again, teenagers, they love Pinterest.
Mhm.
Absolutely love Pinterest. They're getting hair ideas and nail ideas and all kinds of stuff. There's it's really a pretty neat social media, and it doesn't feel like social media either, which is kind of good. It doesn't feel like Facebook or Snapchat or any of that. It's a different type of social media, so it definitely will have its niche people, and the chart is just unbelievable. I mean, look at that uptrend.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a little bit more creative minded than those other social medias. And like I said, this is a pattern that I always look for. I want to be buying stocks near this line of this, near to where they break out of this consolidation, their first primary base. You can see it had a nice long base that shook a lot of people out, myself included, a couple times. But now it's increased and more than doubled from that point. And yeah, I'm watching for another base to form to get back into this high flyer.
Yeah, it's got the flag is kind of a weird shape though. Usually I like the flag that kind of pulls back into the
Yeah,
moving average,
it's
and
kind
it's
of
more of an
wedging up.
ascending.
Yeah, it's wedging up, which I
Mhm.
don't really like. That's not super constructive. You want to have it shake out people, and this doesn't really do it. So I think there does need to be a nice 20% base here.
Mhm.
And that would be very constructive in the long term, I think.
Yeah, me too. That's what I would love to see.
So my last one is very similar to Pins. I actually believe that they're partnered with Pinterest, and that's Etsy. And let me go back to a daily chart and just look at these last 2 quarters. I mean, 400% plus earnings growth, sales growth over 100%, margins very, very strong as well. And the chart is strong. It just broke out of a 1B base, kind of a base on base pattern here. One main drawback for this is actually that the estimates for 2021 aren't very good. And I think, I guess the analysts are kind of pricing in that a lot of its growth was due to COVID related traffic. But we'll see how that turns out. And if these estimates can really increase, that should just put more fuel in the fire and really keep boosting the stock's uptrend. But it looks good. Power from the pivot. Um, and once again, I own shares in the stock at this point, and we'll see if it can continue above this 200 mark, which so far it hasn't yet been able to. But I think it'd be very bullish if it forms a nice tight sideways pattern here. And then I'll look to add over this high. So if it forms something out like this here, I think that'd be very, very bullish.
Yeah, it looks good. Um, yeah, I mean, basically, it takes the craft fairs and all that kind of stuff and puts it online, which is pretty amazing. And obviously, people are buying stuff from them because their estimates are unbelievable. Looks real good. We love those moving averages to catch up just a little bit, and then it's good to go.
Yep, that's a common theme with all these big growth stocks right now. I mean, they are a little bit extended from proper buy points. So we'll see how that resolves itself. It can either be in a price correction or based on time, and hopefully it's time instead of price. But
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. And I think it's very rewarding to focus on the best quality stocks that are growing at insanely fast rates. I mean, these are the stocks that everybody wants to own. All those institutions want to own these for the long term. And that's why I kind of try to stay focused on those potential true market leaders.
it's funny when you change your mindset to that. I know what I did. Like that's when my trading completely changed. Like it
Mhm.
was like almost like a light switch on and off. When you think about the best quality stocks, regardless of price or even if they're a little bit extended, I mean, you want to be where everyone else wants to be too. You don't want to be the only person at the club.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
ideally, you're buying it at good low risk entry points along the way up.
sure, sure. Because even the great stocks have shakeouts.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at Zoom. I mean, there's periods in here where you want to be owning it.
Hmm.
Right here, you do not want to be owning this at this point. I mean, it's
Right.
trending below those key moving averages right now, and might form out a base here, but you don't know. I mean, if it undercuts this, you've got the 200-day moving average down here near 300. So you have to be aware of where the stock could go and recognize the risks from whatever entry point you choose.
For sure. And compare that to Peloton.
Yeah.
So
And these are both kind of COVID related stocks. So it's good
Mm-hmm.
to look at the differences in their chart. So this formed out
Mm-hmm.
after the gap down, it kind of rode that 50 SMA up and now had a huge powerful move from this base, the 50 SMA, and now is gapped up. And compared to Zoom, I mean, it's light and day.
Right. And you see, even when it went below the 50-day, the 50-day never curled down. It
Exactly.
stayed in an uptrend. And I think that's one of the key pieces to that, where you see with Zoom, it's already curling down and moving lower right there.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, you do not want to be in a stock when the 50 SMA is curling down. I mean, uh,
Let's say short.
that's yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it just the trend is gone. I mean, the upward trend at least is gone. It's a new trend. It has work to do to reverse that. You know, that's not easy. So avoid, right? Why
Mhm.
even be part of that?
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. So then we have a few bonus ideas at the end, right?
Yep.
You want to
And
do
let me
look at
stop.
those? All right. So I have, let me go ahead and share my screen. Share. Perfect. Okay. Back here. The first one I'm going to put on there is Rackspace Technologies. All right. So they are a cloud. They do stuff with the cloud. I'm not a computer guy, so I couldn't tell you everything they're doing. I believe that they do. They're part of the CDN, helps with content distribution and that kind of stuff. So other idea, Fastly is in that idea also, CDN group. Is that about right, Richard?
Yeah, I'm not terribly familiar with what they do, but their numbers look good and the chart is very constructive. And sometimes that's all you need to know until you really establish a big position in a stock.
Absolutely. All right. So yeah, so it kind of, it's again a newer name. It kind of broke out. We now have this very organized pullback here, which I like that it's very methodical and organized.
Hmm.
So I think it's a good risk reward as far as holding above, call it 1950. If it holds above 1950-ish, I think that's good. Maybe even the 23-day EMA. Rackspace Technology, again, it's a newer name. So I like newer names, usually within 1 to 3 years of them coming out, just because they're not on people's radars yet. They're first coming on, they're first doing their due diligence, they're first, it takes time for the big institutions to realize that to put their money to work to these newer names. So I
Hmm.
think that Rackspace is in that kind of that grouping, and I think that it's at a perfect risk reward point and has pretty good growth numbers too going forward.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, 43% estimates for 2021. So that's pretty good. And there's been some pretty big quarters recently. I mean, 2 quarters ago, earnings were up 999%. Last quarter, it was up only 50%, but still definitely some hints that there is a lot of growth potential in this name.
Cool. All right,
They've also
so
got 4 straight inside days, which is something that I'm watching for. You've got a lot of consolidation very recently within this overall cup and handle.
yeah. All right, so there's that one. Next one is called the Real Real. So the Real Real is kind of interesting. I think of it as so what they do is they do online luxury consignment. So it's like a far-fetched consignment store online. So Farfetch, if you're not familiar with that one, they do online um, luxury goods, so high end stuff. So what the Real Real does is, you have your Louis Vuitton purse that you don't want anymore. You could go ahead and sell it on the Real Real. I think that this is a market that is just now obviously beginning to get tapped, and it has this beautiful looking IPO base right over here. And if we can, or if it can, break out above 23-ish, I think there's a lot of potential for this particular stock. As you can see, also some good volume coming in here. There was some good volume back here. So you see that people are starting to take notice and build positions in this one, just all along there's accumulation throughout here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Real Real. And what else we got here? And the last one, how much? There we go. Thank you. Oh yeah, Ulta. Again, I have two teenage girls. I see what they got for the holidays. They're getting okay, so they're getting these eye palettes and different makeups, and these influencers have now created a ton of expensive makeup. There's a guy named James Charles that my kid loves and loves the way he does makeup. And got one of his palettes for the holidays, and it's not cheap. I looked it up. How much did they? It's Khloe Kardashian has her stuff, and it's all being sold through Ulta, right? At least most of it. So Ulta has this giant base here. Again, it was an amazing stock years ago, right? The uptrend was just sick, going from a $4 stock back in '09 to a $300 stock now. But so then it's consolidated for, call it 4 years, has basically moved sideways. They just announced a partnership back a couple months ago with Target, and they're going to be opening up 100 Ultas within Target. So that's a huge new growth opportunity for this company. Again, that's a place where people are going for the makeup is Ulta, and now it's going to be more accessible. They
Mhm.
also have a robust online site that I know my family frequents. So I think that this has kind of consolidated these huge gains now for 4 years, and I think as these Target stores start to open, and if we could get a breakout above 325 or so, I think Ulta could be starting its next run higher. So it's
Mhm.
an old name, but it's going to have some new growth coming into it. So I think there is a lot of opportunity there. And my girls tell me that the new thing is guys wearing makeup. I don't know if I agree with that, but that would be another growth area.
Absolutely. And I think the last one that we want to talk about, if you could bring up NARI, NARI. And this is a medical products company. And what I really like is you've got a strong kind of initial uptrend. And then once again, it's formed this very constructive primary base. And look at the power coming from the bottom of this base, huge volume coming in as well. And I think it'd be very constructive if it forms a little bit of a handle here. You've got one inside day on this past Thursday, and then strong breakout. That would definitely catch my eye, and I would definitely consider taking up a position from this breakout.
Yep, I like that a lot. It's yeah, just give it some little time for these moving averages to catch back up again. Look at this volume coming in on this most recent uptrend. That's
Mhm.
phenomenal. And
And
still not, like you see, it's only about 700,000 on average. So it's not widely known yet. There's not a lot of people in this one yet, which is really, really
absolutely.
good.
And the sales growth is on fire, over 100% the last 4 quarters. Last quarter earnings up 999%, after tax margins up 16.8%. You don't have great estimates for the next year, but yeah, I'm watching this one closely and seeing if you can actually break out from the stage one consolidation.
Yeah, looks fantastic. Actually, I'm gonna write this one down too, because this one looks right up my alley. Yeah, right above what, 85, right? That's what you're
Hmm.
looking at.
Hmm.
This 85 area looks really, really good. All right. Anything else on your radar?
I think that's pretty much it for the stocks I'm focusing on. And yeah, we'll see what 2021 has in store. Obviously, you have to follow the price action, see what happens, be ready for anything. Obviously, you have to keep these watch lists fresh. I mean, just because we're looking at these stocks right now doesn't mean we could have completely different lists after another correction or a few months. So stay
Absolutely.
nimble and be ready for anything.
Yeah, I think that's key too. And also a good risk reward entry. Some of these are extended that we showed. Not all of them were great entries. So you have to make sure that it fits your risk tolerance, right? We all have, some people that may be listening to this are day traders, right? And some could be, long term, growth, holders of growth names. So we got to make sure that it fits our risk tolerance. But I think that yeah, some great ideas today, Richard. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And for anybody watching this video, let us know what stocks you're watching down below in the comment section. We'd definitely be interested in seeing any new names popping up on your radar.
Absolutely. That's how we learn too, right? Every day, always learning something new. So good stuff. Very cool. Well, Happy New Year, Richard. I'm sure we'll be talking soon, but take care and Happy New Year to everybody out there. And y'all have a great day.